Om Shanti. Illegal affairs are always very easy to start with, but very hard to end it. It takes just a moment of carelessness to start an illegal relationship, but years of hard work and determination to get out of the illegal affairs. An illegal affair between a 15-year-old Melbourne student Ben and his PE teacher, 36-year-old Karen, proves how deadly this illegal affair can turn into. She is old enough to be his mother. Both Ben and Karen got attracted towards each other and spent so much time having close conversations. And they both got intimate and ended up having physical relationship when Ben was just 15 years old. Though Karen, who was old enough to be his mother, was feeling guilty, but still she couldn't stop texting messages to Ben on his mobile phone. And 6 weeks after their sexual plays, Ben's mom checked Ben's mobile and she got suspicious and she filed a complaint in the local police station. Though their sexual relationship was consensual, since Ben was just 15 years old at the time, Karen was receiving a 6-month prison sentence for raping him 6 times. And Karen is going to be classified as a pedophile for the next 15 years, and she's now a registered sex offender and cannot work with children. So that destroys her career as well as her marriage. And now Ben and Karen are still in contact with each other. Though she was classified as pedophile, she doesn't consider herself to be a pedophile as she never preyed on any other minors. Neither Karen considers herself a predator nor Ben considers himself a victim, because it is Ben who actually initiated the sexual advance. But the law doesn't say so. Both Ben and Karen gave an interview together. When Ben was asked why she didn't put a break the moment she knew that she was attracted to the student, she replied by saying, "I don't know." When Ben was asked the same question, he said he just took chances and went for it. And during the period of their relationship, he says though he was not hoping for the long-term relationship, it felt really good for him. In many such cases, you often hear boys saying that they actually enjoyed the experience rather than feeling abused. So they don't feel victimized, though the law projects them a victim. Although the law declares only the minors to be victims, it is my personal belief that the adult women involved always suffer the most. She will mostly lose her marriage as well as her career, and also she will end up receiving the bad reputation in the society. Now, let's say the actual answer to the question she couldn't answer. The first question being, why she didn't put on the brakes when she first knew that she was attracted to her student. This question also suggests that adults do get attracted to the younger ones. The society and the law least bothers about men and women getting attracted to the minors at a mental level, but it is only when they act on that attraction they are punished. Ben was actually honest when she said she didn't know why she did not put the brakes when she first knew that she was attracted to her student. It is also true that Ben did not know why she was attracted to the student in the first place. Actually, the whole society do not know why we get attracted to the younger ones. Also, the society doesn't know why teens and adolescent ones get attracted to the elder ones. If you think it is natural, you are wrong. You will never be punished for being natural. The victims always get confused because, on the one hand, they see the media promoting sexual attractions all the time, but on seeing it repeatedly, when they start finally acting on those thoughts, they get punished. People of all ages are constantly exposed to romantic movies and romantic songs. It is by listening to the romantic movies and songs repeatedly one's curiosity towards the opposite sex increases. In addition, if they are exposed to watching too much porn, obviously they will be bombarded with lustful thoughts all the time until it reaches a point when they finally start acting on it because they have absolutely no control over their thoughts anymore. So that is basically the reason why Ben advanced sexually. And also, the media constantly brainwashes people into believing that spicing up one's sex life is very essential for the happy married life. But in reality, it is highly impossible for both men and women to stay loyal to their spouse and also sexually attracted to their spouse. It doesn't go hand in hand. The reality is, even if you are married to the most beautiful women in the world, you will still be losing sexual attraction towards her within few months of marriage. It is for your own good. If you stay horny throughout your life, you will never achieve anything significant in your life because your mind gets constantly disturbed by sexual thoughts. So in order to prevent that, nature itself dumps your sexual attraction towards your spouse within few months of your marriage. So you will no longer waste your time in dealing with those sexual attractions and engage in sexual acts, thereby waste your precious life. Since the society encourages you to try different positions and do role play to spice up your sex life, people do try that after they get bored within few months of marriage. So as a result, when you try different positions for sex, whenever you see a girl standing or sitting or in any position, you will obviously be aroused. Likewise, you can never do a role play without ever getting aroused by such roles in the real world. For example, if you want your wife to do a role play of a nurse, it obviously means you were aroused by the uniform of nurse previously. And after trying this role play with your wife, obviously the next time you visit the hospital, you are going to be turned on by the very sight of the nurse. That's going to have a very serious implication. So that is also a major reason for so many sexual harassment in workplaces. In the olden days, people engage in sex purely and exclusively to have children and not for pleasure. It is this society that kindles the curiosity among men and women about their opposite genders. Otherwise, we wouldn't obsess over the bodies of opposite sexes. If you practice celibacy strictly by staying away from movies, songs, and friends who kindles the curiosity in you about the opposite sexes for a year or more, then after that period of celibacy, if you decided to have sex, you will find yourself not attracted to anybody. You wouldn't even find sex as a pleasurable act. It will be a very big surprise for you. And that is the main reason girls are not as much sexually aroused as guys, because medias don't objectify men as much as they objectify women. Moreover, we were addicted to lust for the past 2500 years when this earth was heaven. And before that, this world was heaven. Actually, the last 2500 years was hell. And only in hell we become addicted to these sensual pleasures and five vices like lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. But while we were in heaven, we were so pure that we didn't even have any idea about lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. We were so pure, so kind, so blissful, and so peaceful because we were soul conscious in heaven, which means we considered ourselves to be the soul, and we were constantly conscious of ourselves, that is the soul. It is the soul that sees through the eyes, that listens through the ears, speaks through the mouth, performs every action through this body. But soul is not the body, soul is not a part of the body, it is entirely different, and they were aware of it constantly. So in heaven, obviously, everybody would be very beautiful, 1,000 times more beautiful than Miss World and Miss Universe. Nonetheless, they were not attracted towards each other because they were not even body conscious. But they experience constant pleasure from within because the soul itself is a source of happiness. It is only by having soul conscious we can experience that constant pleasure. So we've been experiencing that pleasure for the first 2500 years in heaven. As a result, we are not attracted to anything that's external to us. So we were constantly happy and we were constantly peaceful and blissful because that's the true nature of the soul. Moreover, we were surrounded by everything one needs to be happy. Like we were so rich that we lived in houses made of golden bricks. And the nature was very first class, and the fruits, plants, everything were first class. And animals, including lion and tiger, they don't hurt each other. Instead, as mentioned in Bible and other religious scriptures, that cow and lion took milk from the same pond at the same time in heaven. So if that were the case, think about humans. They would be more kind to each other. So all this magic happened because they were soul conscious and because they were innocent of these five vices. But after the completion of the first 2500 years, they slowly become body conscious, thereby become addicted to the sensual pleasures and the five vices. As a result, we start committing more and more sins, because of which we lose health, wealth, peace, prosperity, and everything, and we start getting various forms of diseases. There is conflict within the family and within a town and in between nations. Because what happens when we become addicted to sensual pleasures, our soul loses its power so fastly that we will not be able to concentrate on anything, we will not be able to distinguish between the right and wrong. That is the reason you find it common that guys who were very loving to their parents will start hating their parents after they get married, which means after they engage in sexual acts, their soul loses power, and instead of seeing their parents in the positive light, they would start seeing them in the negative light. That's the power of sex. So it intoxicates you to the extent that your intellect no longer works. And that is the reason Ben couldn't stop texting messages to, Karen couldn't stop sending text messages to Ben, although she was feeling guilty throughout the period of sexual relationships. It doesn't mean that Karen forgets that Ben is her student. She knows it. Her mind produces, for example, say, 2 thoughts that Ben is a student, then her mind creates 1,000 thoughts about the sexual fantasies she is going to experience with Ben. So these thoughts overpowers the actual thought, the real thought, the true thought that he was a student. And also the consequences she would have to face if this sexual relationship comes out in the open. Likewise, she will definitely have the thought of what would happen if Ben's mom checks the mobile phone. But as I mentioned earlier, the thoughts of sexual intoxication overpowers those thoughts. This sexual intoxication is so worse that she is not ready to let go of him even after serving 6 months prison sentence. And that is the reason when she was asked about this repeatedly by the reporter, Karen asked to stop this interview, and she was in tears because she couldn't put an end to this relationship. This is the true nature of all extramarital affairs, even if it did not involve any minors. So it is true that we get sexually attracted to the opposite sexes right from a very young age. Just because it happens at a very young age, we think it is natural, but it is not so. When God created us, we didn't even have a trace of lust in us. It is only after forgetting who we truly are, that is, that we are souls, that we become so weak that we fall for the worldly attractions. And the number one worldly attraction that gives the highest intoxication is nothing but sex. So sex is the number one sin, no matter whether you do it with your wife or you do it with somebody other than your wife. It is because you had sex with your wife initially that you become so addicted to that sexual intoxication that you want it more and more, but you are no longer sexually attracted to your wife, so you see it from the outside. The same holds true for women. So you can never get out of the extramarital affairs unless you get rid of sexual attraction altogether. Or else, even if you manage to get out of one extramarital relationship, you will definitely find yourself in the next extramarital affair. To put an end to it altogether, you need to put an end to the sexual attraction altogether. How do you achieve that? It is only when you become body conscious that you become conscious that you are a guy or a girl, so that you get attracted to the opposite sex. But if you consider yourself to be the soul that resides in between the eyebrows, you will consider the other as a soul. Soul has no gender. It is only the body that is male or female, and you are not this body. You are temporarily in this body. If you are a male, you may be a female in your previous birth and you will be a female in the next birth. So male and female is not the true identity. You are the soul. That is who you really are. And the true nature of the soul is peacefulness, blissfulness and purity, and that is your true identity. Anything that makes you lose peace, they don't belong to you. They can never be true. You know how lust makes you lose peace. Even when there is no problem from the outside, you will still be losing peace, you will be losing your sleep, fantasizing about the other person. And after a few days, you will become jealous on any person he or she talks with, thereby again losing peace. So you will be constantly haunted by the other person, that you can no longer put your full effort into any work, so that you can never achieve anything significantly in your life. So is it possible for any of us to get out of sexual attraction altogether? Well, the answer is yes. You have already achieved that. Are you wondering when you have achieved that? Well, if you have a sister at home, you are not sexually attracted towards her, no matter how beautiful she is. You are not attracted to your mother. How is that possible? See, you are sexually attracted to a girl who is old enough to be your mother, but you are not attracted to your mother or sister or even your daughter. How is that possible? It is possible because right from the beginning, whenever you see them, you are saying to yourself, this is my mom, this is my mom, this is my mom. But you don't say that to other girls. Instead, these movies and all other media hypnotize you into thinking other girls as a sexual object. So whenever you see them, you link them to sex. You do it constantly to all the women you see, all the women you hear. So that is the reason you get sexually stimulated by a girl or guy. Instead, no matter how beautifully a man or woman comes in front of you, just be quick to have a thought that he or she is your brother or sister. Maybe she was really your sister in the past birth or in the upcoming birth, who knows? It is by imbibing these thoughts constantly over a period of year or more that you will finally see yourself not getting attracted to the opposite sex anymore, or you would see the attraction reduced to a greater extent compared to a year before. The whole world is saying sex is good, sex is sacred, sex is holy. God has created men and women to have sex. So they have been constantly bombarding you with the false information, and you fall prey to it, and you end up getting punishment out of it. In the whole world, only God says lust is your greatest enemy. Stay away from it. The way to do that permanently is to consider yourself to be the soul, and you need to remember God as a point of light. The more you consider yourself to be the soul and connect your mind to the Supreme Soul, who is called Shiva by Hindus and Allah by Muslims and Heavenly Godfather by Christians, God is only one. And He is also a soul just like us, but the difference between we souls and God is we enter this birth and death cycle by taking bodies for ourselves, while God doesn't take birth like us. He never enters a mother's womb and be born as a child. Instead, he enters an old man's body directly and give this knowledge after naming that old man as Brahma. So the knowledge that God Shiva delivers through the mouth of Brahma is called Murli. which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahma Kumaris Raj Yoga meditation centers across the globe. You can also find them absolutely free in YouTube and websites. You can Google it for yourself. And the Murli is spelled Murli. It is available in all languages, including English. Once a girl or guy is exposed to anything that is sexually provocative, so they are going to spend the rest of their life obsessed with sexual thoughts. So always stay away from anything or anybody that provokes you sexually, and keep your mind always busy with the Murli points, the direct knowledge of God, so that you will be very happy, that you will be able to retain soul conscious for an extended period of time. And also by remembering God as a point of light as much as possible, you have become as pure as God eventually. Thereby you will be able to take birth in heaven again. Unless you record so deeply in your mind that sex is the number one sin that you want to get rid of, you will never ever escape sexual attraction, and you will never ever escape committing sexual sins. Thereby you will definitely get punished for your sexual offenses sooner or later. Thanks for watching, and please spread this news to our brothers and sisters so that let's save them from committing sexual offenses. Thanks for watching.